Hello, hola, konnichiwa, buenos dias, buenos aires, cheers, and welcome to the Miles Burris Show. I'm glad you're here. Been a minute. I hope you had a great holiday, a great Christmas. I sure did over here, and partly the setup looks a little different because that's also why I've had a little hiatus between the holidays and this. But we're getting it going. We're teching it up. I'm gonna try this out. You guys let me know in the comments below if you like having a screen behind me. The idea and the premise of this is to be able to show, film and point to things easier as opposed to doing a bunch of post-production, editing. I don't like that. But we'll see how it goes. I'll listen to y'all and we'll keep it rolling. Today's video, I'm going to be talking a little bit of the MVP race and some interesting things just that I thought about just a little offload today between that, Lamar Jackson, the Beyonce Bowl, and Netflix redemption, attempt, I guess, and some Raiders at the end. So I was thinking more about the MVP race after watching this man, Lamar Jackson, go spankies on the Houston Texans last night. One, he's always probably the most electrifying, most fun player to watch in the NFL because Lamar Jackson might legitimately be the rarest player the NFL's ever seen, the most rare and unique and just dangerous skill set. It's like if you were going to build somebody to be the most dangerous guy to make sure that put the ball in his hands every single play and let's guarantee it and ensure it. At quarterback, it's kind of Lamar Jackson, especially with the way that he's come around as a passer and really evolved his game. He really truly now is a pocket passer with the ability to just be so shifty and so rare as a ball. Like he has a different force field around him because everybody knows that he could go any which way, and so he can buy more time just by a little stutter and a little shift this way, and so he's always trying to pass, and then he has the ability to just make you look stupid, and go take off and run, and I feel like this is, no slight on anybody. Josh Allen has had an MVP season, absolutely. Saquon Barkley has as well. But I just feel like a little bit, like the first thought I had was, yeah, it's their best season, so we should give it to him because kind of Lamar doesn't count because he is such a freak. And like it's like he's had it 2 times and like we get it, he kind of did it again, but like, this is Josh's best year and they've got a better record and he's done really well in primetime games and, his numbers are great for what he's used to, but they still don't stack up, I understand both sides of the equation here. I just think it should have been and it should be a much closer race. Josh Allen's been kind of the favorite for the whole time. But what Lamar Jackson is doing here, check the numbers. I mean, he's beating him in every single number except the most important one, the record, and rushing touchdowns, which I think 11 rushing touchdowns is a little bit padded. I think he's had a lot of QB sneaks. He's had some amazing runs, don't get me wrong, but I like that Lamar Jackson has a lower rushing touchdown number this year because it shows his evolving as a passer. Like he's not trying to pad numbers. He doesn't care. Even in his interview, they said, hey, Lamar on that touchdown run, the read option, he took it for 40, 50, 60 yards, something like that. They said, you got up to almost 22 miles an hour. That was your, fastest of the season. Did you know that? And he's like, I was jogging. And if you watch the play, he wasn't an all-out sprint. He might have been kind of coasting a little bit, and he was turning back this way. It was not his full, like, he might have been able to beat everybody, in the NFL on the miles per hour scale on that run if he really gave it his all. But he doesn't care about that. He's trying to win. And I think the evolving of his game and how hard he's worked as a passer has shown that. You look at this, 39 touchdowns, 4 interceptions versus 26 and 6, 121.6 passer rating. So this is interesting over here. Check this out. Aaron Rodgers is the only one of all time who's ever had a higher passer rating throughout the season. Lamar Jackson just behind him at 121.6. 120. Anybody over 120, this is an interesting stat. Anybody over 120 passer rating, all these guys here for a season, none of them went without an MVP, the NFL MVP for that season. Lamar Jackson's up there. His numbers this year are so good. You can see them all over here again, most of them. They're so good, they're making his last year's MVP numbers look pedestrian. And yet we're still, somehow he's not favored. I don't get that. I think he just truly is in a league of his own. He is in such a different stratosphere. People have an easier time writing him off. Plus, as we know in the NFL, narratives are so strong, and the media has really pumped the narrative. Not that he hasn't earned it, but it is exciting to see what Josh Allen is doing, and he is crushing it so much, and he is so exciting. And so the narrative has been, oh, he's the front runner. He's absolutely the lead of, for the MVP. That makes people scared to vote for somebody else because it makes them, oh, I'm, I don't want to contradict that. I don't want to look stupid. But I think when you stack it up right next to each other, I'm not going to say that he's the all-out favorite, but I certainly would vote for Lamar Jackson. Absolutely. I think he's the most valuable player in the NFL, not just because of his abilities and what he has, but how they've expressed themselves throughout the season. And he was the MVP last year, and his this year looks even more insane than that. The numbers are even more insane than that. His ability on the field and as a passer is even better than that. So for me, I don't see it as a question mark. I see Lamar Jackson being the MVP. I don't know, but that's just me. Devontae Adams had said this. That he said, he thinks that Lamar Jackson is the best ball carrier in the NFL. Not like, he wasn't talking about just running backs or just like running quarterbacks or like, no, he's the best ball carrier in the NFL, and I couldn't agree more. It's crazy that everybody was saying he needs to play receiver coming out of college. Baltimore banked on him to be a quarterback, and it was the best decision they could have made. But like, you couldn't just put any receiver in at quarterback and see them and think, oh, they're going to be able to run around and do what he does. Even if they run a 4-2 or a 4-3, the ability he has as a ball carrier that he uses less and less but always has in his back pocket is so rare and so crazy. It's so much beyond just the elite speed which he has, the elite suddenness and acceleration that he has, and the jukes and the moves. He also has a feel. It's an instinctive, intuitive, unteachable feel for the game, and he just little boys people. And the fact that he's done that at every level, we've seen, highlights of Lamar Jackson in high school and in college and in the pros, and he still does it, and he still has this ease and calmness and presence of mind to be able to take those wild risks and do these wild moves, because you'll see guys like that at every level. And somebody's going to come to your mind right now where like, oh my gosh, they were just making these guys look like kids, the way they were playing and crossing people up and making them look dumb. But then they get to the next level, and maybe they still have the ability, but you don't see that anymore. And that there is a psychology also that he has to be able to maintain that presence of mind, that maintain that feel, and he's got like this force field bubble around him that everybody respects, because they know if they come in too hot and take their shot, he's going to easily sidestep them. And they have to break down and know he can go 17 different directions. And he also has that feel too. So he's buying time, and there's this cloud of respect around him, and that buys him time as a passer. And it's wild. But again, some guys, when they get to the level up, they lose that thing. And a lot of it's up here. A lot of it is also the escalation of the talent around them, and they can't get away with those moves that they were, dicing people up with at the level below. And he's done nothing but that. We saw a little bit of that also, like, this is completely unrelated, but Ryan Williams in Alabama, and the way, like, he's 17 years old, left early to go play for Alabama, true freshman, and he's just routing grown men up in college like they're little kids. So there's certain guys that are so elite that maybe that helps them to relax and know that I'm going to be able to do this against anybody. And Lamar Jackson is certainly that. Watching the games yesterday, I was kind of hoping the games would be generally a little closer. Chiefs locked in their spot in the playoffs, home field advantage, and then again Baltimore whooped Houston. But Netflix had a little bit of a redemption, I guess, just from the Jake Paul fiasco of promoting the heck out of they're going to be the only ones to have the fight, and it's going to be, international, and they just totally blew it. And all the, signal came back just in time to see Tyson's butt in the thong, which was super weird. Anyways, but they called it the Beyonce Bowl, which I don't know. I guess that would be very Netflix if their entrance into football, and they're going to do that. But so I kind of made this face when I first read that. But then she came out at halftime and totally redeemed it. She's just got the it factor. I've never really watched a lot of Beyonce performances or anything, but she really does. She kind of captivates people, and it's a great show. And like my 2-year-old daughter, was just looking up at the TV. She kind of stopped the whole house. My wife and sister-in-law finally took their eyes out of the kitchen, and just what they were doing. They were all into the show. Some people just have that it factor, and you can't really define it. It's beyond just the talent and the singing and the dancing. There's an it thing there, and if we knew what it was, we wouldn't call it an it factor, because we don't know what it is. And because that's a big thing also in acting. As an actor, people told me, oh, you get the it thing. Well, as a grinder and a perfectionist, and I'm like, okay, well, what is that then? What is it? Because I want to manufacture more of it. And the more you try for the it factor, if you try it all, it senses the desperation. You lose it. You can't define it. You can't try for it. It's just it. It's there. And I liked that she brought where is it? She brought her daughter up there. So that's Beyonce's daughter. And I thought that was a cool little moment. She got to have with her daughter there. It was cute. And then Posty came in a little bit. Boom. Post Malone, little Toast Malone. He's got that it too. Also, you put out that country album. I thought it was legit. I don't know what you guys thought. I thought it was really good. It was interesting too because, it's not necessarily a network, Netflix, and they haven't done football games before, at least to my understanding. I don't know if they hosted any last year. But the panel that they brought in, there was Robert Griffin III, there was Manti Te'o and Mina Kimes, and I can't remember who else. I thought it was kind of cool though. One, I was glad to see Manti Te'o in there. I love seeing people who been through something traumatic like that, like he has, and had people making fun of him or whatever, and just to make comeback stories. I root for that guy. He seems like a great guy. I've heard good things about him, and it's good to see him in there. A lot of people don't come back from that kind of stuff, from that kind of trauma. And so it was cool to see that, and I liked some of his takes. And Robert Griffin III, that's also cool, because when you think about that, he got fired. Was it from what show he was on? Was it? I don't know if it was through ESPN or what network, but he got let go, and then he had that big meme of him taking a big bite of the bread or whatever. But he just kept going with his podcast and his YouTube channel and this, and he's still just as in the limelight without the network. And that's the day and age that we're in now. And that's partly why I'm doing this. You just, as an actor, I started to see, everything's merging now. Like entertainment and sports are merging. Traditional, non-traditional media, it's becoming the same thing. You can get more views and more traction just on your own without, the traditional media and the networks and all those things. And I just think that's really cool. One, because a lot of people would see that as such a blow, and it takes a strong mindset for Robert Griffin III to, get fired and just keep running, keep punching. And there was really no drop off in the zeitgeist. Like if people weren't huge sports fans and didn't know that he was fired, they would just think, oh, Robert Griffin's, he's still got his job, he's still doing his thing. Good for him. So it was cool that he got that gig. And Mina Kimes, I think for all of the female football reporters out there, she's got to be my favorite, I think, because, and this is not, don't take this the wrong way. I don't know how the networks tee up female, reporters or sports analysts, and what angles they, put them into. It might be partly how they're cast into their roles and what they're allowed to talk about or whatever. But Mina Kimes is really the only one that I've heard, and I haven't seen them all, so don't judge me here or say I'm a misogynist. I'm not. That really talks football, that really talks the nitty gritty, real deal football, and you certainly know she knows what she's talking about. You know, she's talking about, oh, when they do the play action pass, the this and that. She knows football. I know football, and I know when I hear somebody speak about football if they know football. And so I thought she was really deserving of that slot there. I'd heard they'd been pursuing her for months before this ever happened. And actually, her brother is my neighbor. Really cool. He's a lawyer, great guy. Anyways, yeah, Netflix and the football games. I wish the games themselves were a little closer, more competitive. But that's all I got to say about that. In closing, we have, just the Raiders, the situation. I think whenever I'm going live or, on any Raiders related content that I make, it's the elephant in the room. It's the thing everybody's thinking about, talking about, and wants to know about. It's why everybody wants to, the Raiders wants to know where they're going to land in the draft. Like, what are we going to do with quarterback? Who are we going to draft? If we dropped from 1 to 6 after one loss, like what, it's unlikely Shador and Cam are still there. Apparently we also have some interest in dropping his name again, but the Oregon quarterback. Here's what I do know is, was it exciting for a second, even though we hate losing, that we had the number 1 slotted pick for a second there? Yeah, that's exciting. You can get whoever you want in the draft. However, there was still a month of football to play. Like, there is so much, even still, with teams having 3 games left to play, there's so much that can go up and down. And there's always, every week, there are games that should be won that aren't, and games that shouldn't be won that are. Like, there's always upsets. There's always the things that you can't account for. And I think we're not even thinking far enough out, because there's things you can't account for in the offseason as well. I think it's Dylan Gabriel? Anyways, the Oregon quarterback. But there's going to be things that happen in the offseason leading up to the draft. The combine, the pro days, the people that they missed, that maybe weren't getting as much hype, or the people that were, and then we realized, oh, they really are that good. And the scouts get to work out this quarterback, and he gets to show them every single throw from every angle they want. And oh my gosh, yeah. So, we don't know. Maybe Gabriel's even better. Maybe somehow his stock rises. Again, there's too much going on to know where we're going to get slotted in the draft. We just know we have to address quarterback, and we're going to address a quarterback, whether it's through the draft or it's through free agency. And, I don't know exactly how legitimate any of the names are that I have heard of, Dak and Dak Prescott, or, the Darnold, the backup at the Steelers right now. Guys that you're not, they're playing well. Again, I've said this before, any of those guys, say Darnold or something, he's crushing it. People in the zeitgeist of football, just thinking about it, talking about it, everybody has a narrative, and it lasts for like 1 or 2 weeks. So it's, what have you done for me lately? One good season, now Darnold is like the hot topic, but now he's probably gonna get a big fat contract, is what I'm saying. But we don't know if that would parlay well if he got to the Raiders. We don't know how he transitions into our system, or whatever our system may be after this season. If they pick up a different offensive coordinator, if they shake things up and do something completely different. But any quarterback that's going to come to our team that's not already on our team, and even the ones that maybe are, because we might change the system, there's a learning curve. And we don't know how quick some of those guys are to learn, how well they're going to fit in said system that they have to learn. There's so many things that go into play. And I know I've told this story before, but like, even in the offseason process, there's going to be gems in the rough that we didn't know about that are going to pop up in this offseason process before the draft. Like, I trained with Shea McClellan. He was slotted as like a mid to late round draft pick. We were kind of like looked at as the same kind of draft status going into our training. And then he went to, I think, East-West Shrine Game or Senior Bowl. played really well. More people watched his tape, and they're, oh my gosh, this guy is really good. You know, we just kind of looked over Boise and this guy, but like he's played every position on the D line, every linebacker, played nickel in packages, and then he went to the combine, ran a 4.61 at 260 some odd pounds, 6'3" and change. They're like, oh, it's over. Yeah, first round draft pick. Like that stuff happens. And so we don't know how things will even shake out at the quarterback position because, again, there's so much hype. There's so much hype. None of us that are not professional analysts, very, very few people really have a good grasp and have watched enough film on all of the top quarterbacks coming out into the draft to really have an intelligent understanding of like who's really great and why. And we won't know for some time. But there is so much hype in college football. And I'm not saying that's what Shador is. I haven't watched film on any of the guys to be able to speak intelligently on them. But I'm just saying there's this narrative that there's Shador and Cam, and then it's so far out, like the other guys aren't worth taking. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. There's going to be guys that get drafted later than Cam and Shador that are likely going to outperform them or outperform one of them, you know? And that's how it pretty much goes every season. So I don't know where it's going to land. I just know it's going to land in the fact that we got to get a quarterback. We got to shore one up and figure something out there. A big money play in free agency, or we get what we want in the draft. And what we want might not be what we want. Everybody's going to have a different opinion. It'll be what the Raiders want upstairs. But I know I trust the people upstairs, especially with Tom Brady attached and him having some influence there. I trust Tom Brady a whole lot more than I trust anybody else when it comes to picking the best quarterback for the Raiders for the future. You know, and if we don't get what Tom Brady wants, which it sounds like Shador, then I trust him to find the best one for us in free agency. You know, I trust him and the people around him to know and hand select the guy that's going to work best for us. So, yeah, I know. Again, I'm not sitting here just because I played linebacker for the Raiders. I'm not just saying, you know, that I know everything. I don't. I haven't looked at this even from every angle. I don't know all the personnel in free agency, you know, and in college, but I guess I'm generally not as worried as everybody else. I'm not in the mindset that if we don't get Cam or Shador, then we're screwed. And what was the point of playing so badly? And why didn't we tank? You know, this, that, and the other. You can't get people to tank. You can't get coaches and players with their jobs on the line to tank. You can't. No. Like if even from a coach's perspective, Antonio Pierce got a lot of heat for even just saying, like, was asked the question, well, you know, you guys dropped from 1 to 6, and you know, what do you think about that win? And he said, you know, that's for the GM to answer. And people are in the comments, you look at all those and they say, oh, Antonio Pierce just wanted to win and he screwed the future of the Raiders. Dude, if anybody, I don't care who it was, the owner, the people upstairs, and they came to Antonio Pierce and had a private conversation and said, hey, we're trying to tank, I'm resigning. Dude, I don't want a coach or anybody associated with the organization that does not want to win. If somebody told me to turn down, I'd say, you got to be out of your damn mind. I'm glad that they won, and I'm glad that Antonio Pierce is a competitor and wants to win. You don't go out there to lose the game, no matter what the circumstances are. That's just wrong to me. That there's something inherently wrong with that you've played your whole life, trained your whole life for this game, and it's all about winning, and it's such a soft mindset. I really believe that. Like, to say, I'm going to go out and purposely try to lose this game because I got to hang on to this number 1 spot, because this number 1 spot is my only hope for the future of us ever being anything. And my hope is in this 20-year-old college kid to come be our savior because we're screwed without him. It's like none of the players are thinking that. None of the players give a damn where we get in the draft. They're not hoping that we get Shador. Like, No, every player that's in the NFL, you know what their mindset is? I'm the best in this. I'm the best in this position group. I don't care if they get Shador. I'm gonna beat them out. I would hope that's what Aiden's thinking. I would hope that's what everybody's thinking. You can call it crazy. Everybody called us crazy before we got to the league. It takes the people that believe that they're gonna be able to do crazy things. Those are the only people that do it. You don't luck your way into this. A lot of this is a mindset, and I don't want anybody with the mindset of trying to lose to be a part of this organization. You got to be out of your damn mind. Just win, baby.